is the damage left behind by a confirmed tornado this morning in Fort Myers, Florida, part of a weather system that will lash the East Coast overnight with a wintry mix of snow and rain. The holiday COVID-19 crisis as Omicron cases explode. New York City is now reporting its highest daily infection rate since the pandemic began. President Biden addressing the nation, promising Americans 500 million at-home tests and help for hospitals in need. He warned that anyone who is unvaccinated is making a life or death decision. But with more than 110 million traveling this week, will those critical tests come too late? When might Omicron peak? And what about your Christmas plans? White House Chief Medical Advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci standing by to answer all your questions. Verdict watch tonight in the manslaughter trial of former police officer Kim Potter in Minnesota. She says she mistook her firearm for her taser before fatally shooting Dante Wright during a traffic stop. What the jury wanted to know from the judge. Actor Chris Noth's former Sex and the City co-stars breaking their silence over sexual allegations made against him by other women. The stars supporting the women who have come forward. Noth fired from another production while denying the allegations. The holiday getaway, the crush of Americans traveling by plane, train, and automobile. What you need to know before you leave home. And dispatch from Santa's village. This is no reindeer game. Our correspondent Maggie Rulli is on the ground as the clock counts down for Kris Kringle's big night.
It's Santa!
Oh, hello, Maggie.
Maggie in the Christmas spirit. Good evening, everyone. I'm Lindsay Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us. We begin tonight with, of course, just 4 days until Christmas, and President Biden taking action to try to slow the incredibly rapid and unprecedented spread of the Omicron variant. Biden pledging 500 million free home tests in January, but of course that'll be after millions have gathered for the holidays. The president promised those tests during an afternoon address to the nation, as well as resources to hospitals that are once again being stretched thin. Biden implored the unvaccinated to get the shot or risk their own lives as well as those around them. He stressed the importance of boosters and gave credit to former President Trump for acknowledging that he got his. At the same time, the president rejected any March 2020 deja vu, saying we are now prepared and that a complete lockdown of the economy is unnecessary. All this as Americans are now traveling in massive numbers once again. Dr. Anthony Fauci is standing by. But first, ABC's chief White House correspondent Cecilia Vega leads us off from the White House.
At the White House today, surrounded by Christmas decorations, President Biden trying to reassure Americans that even in the face of the surging Omicron variant, we are not in the darkest of days.
This is not March of 2020. 200 million people are fully vaccinated. We're prepared. We know more. We just have to stay focused.
He acknowledged Americans are tired, worried, and frustrated, and told them to prepare for what's yet to come.
Because Omicron spreads so easily, we'll see some fully vaccinated people get COVID, potentially in large numbers. But these cases are highly unlikely to lead to serious illness.
And the president with this warning for the unvaccinated.
And your choice can be the difference between life or death.
With Omicron now in all but one state, the president unveiling a plan to distribute 500 million free at-home rapid tests in January to any American who requests one.
We'll be getting these tests to Americans for free. And we'll have websites where you can get them delivered to your home.
But the White House offering few specifics on how that would work. And tests in January won't help those people who lined up today around the country hoping to get tested before Christmas.
Public health officials have been saying for months you need to surge rapid tests for just this moment. Is it a failure that you don't have an adequate amount of tests for everyone to be able to get one if they need one right now?
No, it's not, because COVID is spreading so rapidly. If you notice, it just happened almost overnight, just in the last month.
In New York, the mayor says the demand for testing is the highest it's ever been. Some people waiting more than 3 hours. Not even the city government can find enough home tests.
We've tried to get it from the private market. We tried to get it from government. Hasn't been here yet. We really, really need it, and we need it quickly.
COVID cases in New York City exploding, up 640% in just the past month, the highest rate in the nation. The city today announcing anyone who gets a booster at a city site will now get $100. President Biden saying boosters may be the key to fighting this surge.
I got my booster shot as soon as they were available. And just the other day, former President Trump announced he had gotten his booster shot. It may be one of the few things he and I agree on.
Tonight, many hospitals at capacity flooded with unvaccinated patients. Sue Wolf is an ER nurse in Madison, Wisconsin.
We have patients coming in all the time, waiting in the waiting room, waiting in the hallways, waiting on carts, waiting to go upstairs.
Sarah Runner, the chief pediatric nurse at Beaumont Hospital in Troy, Michigan.
We are burnt out. We are tired and we are disheartened. So much of what we see on a daily basis is preventable.
President Biden now calling in 1,000 additional military doctors, nurses, and paramedics to help and tapping the national stockpile of masks, gloves, and ventilators.
We're ready to send them immediately to any state that needs more.
The president getting some contingency plans underway already. Cecilia Vega joins us now from the White House. Cecilia, on the issue of testing, the president did promise to send out 500 million at-home tests to Americans come January. And you really pushed the White House press secretary today on how exactly that process will work.
Yeah, Lindsay, because this is such an important issue for almost every American household in our country right now. How can they get their hands on these tests? Unfortunately, the White House doesn't have a lot of details. Here's what I can tell you. We're talking about at-home rapid tests. We're talking about brands that have been approved by the FDA. When you want one, you're going to have to go online to get one when they become available next month. The White House tells me that website isn't live yet, but the press secretary today, she assured me it will be able to handle the demand for all of that, the expected folks who are expected to come on and ask for one of these tests. We don't know how they'll be distributed. We don't know how many tests will go to each American household. But again, to go back to what you heard President Biden here at the White House, Lindsay, say today, he doesn't consider this a failure. The reality is we're nearly 2 years into this pandemic, and we are still asking the same question we were asking at the very beginning of it. When will every American who wants a quick and convenient test be able to get one?
And you know, demand will be great once they open that up. Cecilia Vega from the White House for us. Thanks so much. Joining us now is the president's chief medical advisor and director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease, Dr. Anthony Fauci. Always good to have you. We appreciate your time and insight, doctor. Lots of ground to cover here. Of course, as you know, we were at 3% Omicron just last week. We're now at least 73%. Have we ever seen a virus spread this quickly?
No, quite frankly, we have not. This is really unprecedented in the speed with which this has spread. It has a doubling time of about 2 days, which truly is unprecedented. And that's the reason why we went from such a small percentage right up to 73%. And in the next week or two, you know it's going to be like 90+% for sure.
And the administration announced plans for 500 million free rapid at-home tests to be distributed in January. Is that at all too late? After all, millions are set to gather this week. And is it, I guess it's probably both a matter of being hard to find them and the tests are considered too expensive?
Well, certainly we need to do more. And that's exactly what the president was speaking about. We do have, about 20,000 testing centers that are already up. What the president was talking about was enhancing that even more, not only making 500 million tests available relatively soon, but also setting up systems like having a website that you can actually order tests to be sent to you free, in addition to the fact that we have the capability to be building up to making between 200 million and 500 million tests per month. So it isn't exactly where we want it at this moment, but it is going to rapidly get up to scale so that virtually anybody who wants the test can get it as quickly as possible. It's true we're not there yet, but we're going to get there very rapidly.
But being that we are right here on the holidays time, to go a little bit further on this, the going rate right now for the Binax Now rapid test is roughly $24 for two. Do you think that you can reasonably expect families to pay upwards of $150 just to test themselves for the holidays?
No, absolutely, Lindsay, not so at all. And that's the reason why the big push will be to free testing, both reimbursable, which is fine, but actually free, completely free, where you can just get it from being sent to you through a website, as well as picking it up in areas, in places where there will be tests that will be available to take home and do yourself for free.
Of course, we're always balancing the risk, the reward. Are you concerned that there is potentially a greater risk to advising Americans to going ahead and proceeding with their family gatherings with the variant spreading so quickly?
Well, it depends on what you mean by a gathering, Lindsay. It's very important. If you are vaccinated and your family's vaccinated and boosted, and you're going to have a dinner and just a gathering together with grandma, grandpa, kids, all vaccinated and boosted, even though the risk is not zero, the risk is very low. And you could anticipate enjoying a nice holiday meal and get together. If you're talking about going to a big reception, a party of some sort, where there are 30, 40 people, many of whom you do not know the status of their vaccine, that is something that's very risky, and we clearly recommend you do not do that.
And switching gears here now, the NFL, of course, made changes to allow asymptomatic players to return to the field faster. Are health officials, namely the CDC, thinking at all about changing how long COVID-positive vaccinated Americans need to isolate?
Well, there's one area where they are thinking about it very seriously, and that has to do with healthcare providers who become infected, who are without symptoms. Because if, in fact, we get the wave that we're seeing right now, and we are getting vaccinated and even boosted people who are actually getting breakthrough infections, most of the time, they are asymptomatic or minimally symptomatic. So what the CDC is considering, they haven't made a decision yet, is that when you're dealing with the potential shortage of healthcare providers, that you don't immobilize them for 10 days if they're infected and without symptoms. You get them back to work pretty quickly with something like an N95 mask and extra special care in mask wearing. That's what is on the table now for discussion.
And data, of course, still coming in, but it certainly appears that having a booster is the best way to protect yourself from Omicron. Is the government thinking at all about changing the definition of what it means to be fully vaccinated to now include having that third shot instead of just two?
You know, Lindsay, what it is really almost semantics. It's been that for the discussion of what is going to be requirements. You know, there's this court cases that go on with regard to OSHA and whether or not you can actually be able to require it for a certain amount. As far as I'm concerned, and my colleagues as public health people and physicians and scientists, optimally, it's a boost, no doubt. If it's an mRNA 2-dose, a boost is optimal protection. So the semantics of what's required and what's not required, I think we should put that aside and let people know that if you want to be optimally protected, go get a booster for sure.
Fair enough, but I do want to ask, though, with regard to the worldwide equity concerns that come with the idea of being fully vaccinated, that you may need those 3 shots. So many countries are now just starting to get access to the vaccine. So how do you juggle between Americans getting the 3, where some countries are still trying to get their first?
You can do both. You absolutely can do both. And the United States is actually leading in getting doses to the low and middle income countries. And hopefully the rest of the world, that's the rich, developed world, will do the same. The United States is doing more than all other countries combined, and that's just a fact. We've already given about 300 million doses. We have a moral responsibility to be able to get doses into the arms of people in low and middle income countries at the same time as we boost and optimally protect our own people here in the United States.
Of course, early indications out of South Africa suggest that Omicron may be more mild. Taking a glass half full kind of perspective, is it possible that if Omicron makes up the majority of the cases here, this could actually be a good thing?
Well, certainly, if that is the case, that could be a positive thing. We know now from very close collaborations and very generous sharing of information on the part of our South African colleagues that when you look at the data, that's becoming pretty convincing that the rate and the ratio of hospitalizations to cases indicate that it is a less severe disease when it comes to Omicron. And that has to do with hospital days as well as the requirement for oxygen. If that holds true in the United States, then that would obviously be a positive thing. However, we better be careful because when you quantitatively have a lot more cases, even if you have less of a severity, that could obviate and overcome the positive advantage of a less severe.
All right, quick rapid fire for you for a second, Dr. Fauci, with regard to holiday travel questions. If you could just answer yes or no here. Would you get on an airplane right now?
if I had to get, I mean, I can't say yes or no. It depends on what the circumstance is. I'm sorry, Lindsay. It really depends. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, whenever you travel, there is a risk, not necessarily on the airplane, but on the process of traveling in an airport in a congregate setting where some people might not be having masks. If I needed to see my family and I was vaccinated and boosted, and the people that I were going to were vaccinated and boosted, I would not hesitate to go visit them. But I would not do it for something frivolous like going to a big party with 50 people somewhere, many of whom I don't know what the status of their vaccination is. So it really depends on the circumstances. Sorry for the long answer.
No problem. We'll try yes or no for this. Dine inside.
Excuse me?
Would you dine inside?
Myself personally right now, unless I absolutely knew the vaccination status of the people, I would not.
Would you gather with at-risk loved ones?
Well, when you say at risk, if my at-risk loved ones are vaccinated and boosted and I'm vaccinated and boosted, I would dine with them.
New Orleans said today they are going to go forward with Mardi Gras. I can assume no is your answer for that. You would not go to Mardi Gras?
No, that's a big no for me, Lindsay. Big no.
And lastly, and thank you for playing along with that, I've asked you this question before, but more so than ever, there seems to be this kind of inevitability to all of the COVID at this point, all the spread that we're seeing. Should we all just be prepared at this point that we're likely going to get Omicron? And with that belief that if we're vaccinated and boosted, that it'll likely be mild?
Well, it is certainly conceivable that if you are vaccinated and boosted, that there will be breakthrough infections. This is an extraordinary virus. We've never seen anything of the capability of this to be transmitted. Vaccines work when they protect you from getting sick. And that's what vaccine and boosters do for the most part, even when people get infected as a breakthrough infection.
Dr. Anthony Fauci, we thank you so much for your time and happy holidays to you.
You too. Thank you very much for having me, Lindsay.
Now to the trial of former Minnesota police officer Kim Potter as the jury deliberates for now a second day. Let's bring in Stephanie Ramos, who's outside at the courthouse there. Stephanie, tell us about a question posed to the judge today and whether it could signal potentially a deadlock among the jury.
Yeah, absolutely, Lindsay. It possibly could. The jury wanted to know today what happens if they can't agree on a verdict. They wanted to know what steps should be taken to get there. And the judge responded saying, reading them the jury instructions and telling them that they need to discuss the case with one another and, quote, deliberate with a view toward reaching agreement. She also said they should not hesitate to change their opinions if they're convinced, but did not tell them how long they should try. Now, the jury had a second question. They wanted to know if the zip ties holding the gun used by Potter, those zip ties holding the gun to the evidence box, if those could be removed. The judge approved that request. So we will see. But right now, the jury is still deliberating, Lindsay.
All right, Stephanie Ramos, we know you'll keep us posted on that. Thanks so much. Actor Chris Noth's former Sex and the City co-stars are breaking their silence over sexual assault allegations made against him by other women. The star is now publicly supporting the women who have come forward. Here's ABC's Kaylee Hartung.
Chris Noth's Sex and the City co-stars breaking their silence as the actor faces growing fallout from recent sexual assault allegations. Sarah Jessica Parker, Kristen Davis, and Cynthia Nixon saying they support the women who have come forward, each posting a joint statement on social media adding, "We commend them for it."
Just tell me what you found.
Now the CBS drama The Equalizer, firing him effective immediately. Noth also dropped by his talent agency.
Well, I feel great.
And his viral commercial for Peloton pulled. Noth's career in jeopardy following the premiere of the Sex and the City reboot, and just like that, just over a week ago.
A half hour late.
Two women remaining anonymous, separately claiming to The Hollywood Reporter that they were sexually assaulted by Noth, one in Los Angeles in 2004, the other in New York in 2015. Noth denying the allegations as categorically false, telling ABC News in a statement that his encounters with the women were consensual.
Our thanks to Kaylee for that. The NYPD and the LAPD say there's no investigation into these allegations. And with just 4 days till Christmas, we are tracking storms on both coasts tonight. An F1 tornado with 95-mile-an-hour winds in Fort Myers, Florida, damaging homes, taking down trees. That system is now moving up the East Coast as the West braces for days of heavy snow and rain. ABC's chief meteorologist Ginger Z is timing out how it will all affect the holiday travel. Good evening to you, Ginger.
Good evening to you, Lindsay. That same storm that raked South Florida with that EF1 tornado and more damaging winds, well, it's moved off the coast. However, it's got plenty of moisture that's going to still touch us here all along the I-95 corridor tonight. So just north of Myrtle Beach to Wilmington, you're seeing the heaviest rain, but that is going to slide quickly up the coast, and it's going to meet a lot of cold air. When that happens, you go right where Massachusetts meets up with Connecticut and New York in that corner, all the way up to Caribou, Maine. You could see a mix of ice and, yes, snow in some of the highest elevations, even close to the coast. So just west of Boston, you could see some slick spots in the morning. Yes, there will be some lake effect snow that comes with the cold air behind that, but we have to go to the west because that's nothing compared to the snow that is about to accumulate Thursday into Friday. In parts of the Sierra, we're talking 3 to 5 feet. And that's an appetizer because by the end of the weekend into early next week, there will be another hit of plenty of moisture. What it means for the Bay Area down to, say, Santa Barbara and even Los Angeles, much more much-needed rain. LA on Christmas morning could even see 1 to 2 inches of rain, but it'll be out of there by the time Santa tries to get into the houses, so no worries on Christmas night into early, or Christmas Eve into early Christmas Day, Lindsay.
So many of those dreams of a white Christmas answered, so at least there's that. Ginger,
Yes.
thank you.
You're welcome.
And when we come back, the wild scene at a packed Miami airport, the brawl caught on camera with holiday travel season now in full swing. Our journey to the Arctic Circle to see the preparations ahead of Christmas. Our Maggie Rulli got to have a lot of fun on this one. But up next, our report on one tiny solution to one big problem, homelessness in America.
With so much at stake, so much on the line, more Americans turn here than any place else. ABC News World News Tonight with David Muir, America's #1 most watched newscast, now streaming on ABC News Live.
It was a scary time. In the 70s, you had multiple bodies showing up in Los Angeles.
There were so many murders happening. You had to have a name for it, serial killer.
There was a human head in there.
This was premeditated evil.
You have this clock. This person is going to do this again.
It's me against the killer. Who's going to win?
We'll see who laughs last.
What came next was unlike anything they had ever seen.
Admit it, these days, what you need to know
seems to change just about every day.
What is it that you really want to know, need to know?
To help you not just get through your day,
but to make the most of it. Feel smarter.
Feel better.
Feel happier.
Well, how about a third hour of Good Morning America?
GMA 3, what you need to know. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
It's all about you.
I risked my life. I put my family in danger. If I was caught, they would have put a bullet in my head. But it was the right thing to do. It was the only thing to do.
Terror plot foiled in Garden City, Kansas.
That would have been one of the most deadly acts of domestic terrorism ever in the United States.
It would have been Oklahoma City.
He put his family, himself, in jeopardy for us.
Assault on the Capitol, the ABC News original, exclusively on Hulu, now streaming. This is what being live is all about. This is ABC News Live.
All right, we're gonna move out. Let's move out.
We're surrounded by people squeezing into this bomb shelter.
We're on an urgent delivery run with...
Not afraid to go there.
So my question, Mr. President, what are you so afraid of?
Breaking news, live events.
This is the moment.
Streaming straight to you, anytime, anywhere.
You just met one friend right here.
You're watching ABC News Live. Thanks for streaming with us.
National parks are incredibly safe places, but crime will happen.
Hey, Mom. My wife is fallen. She's in really critical condition.
At that time, I thought it was just a tragic accident.
There's still a lot of questions we need to ask.
There were small things that didn't totally add up.
This is 2 lives for Harold that have died now. I was shocked. Something's not right.
Next tonight, a different approach to helping Americans living on the streets find homes. For decades, Los Angeles has really struggled to confront its homelessness crisis. But a new transitional housing project has the mayor hailing the program as the city's best hope for change. ABC's Will Carr reports.
Hi. We have some stuff. So come on.
It's been 2 months since Roya Shorts moved into her new apartment, and she says every day with a permanent roof over her head is a blessing.
Beautiful, thank you. I'm so thankful, and God bless all of you. Right, I'm gonna sleep very good. Thanks to you guys.
Bed to sleep in, a kitchen table to eat on, a sofa to lay on. Just a short time ago, these were all basic living essentials that were out of reach for Roya. Last year, she found herself struggling to make ends meet amid the pandemic and a sudden loss of household income. She and her adult son were forced to move out of their Southern California home. To survive, they started living in her car, and she didn't know where to turn.
I thought, what are we gonna do? I was sitting and sleeping for a whole year. Homeless people living is very hard. You have to look for a bathroom, you have to look for the shower, you have to look for food. It's hard, it's not easy.
Roya eventually spoke with a social worker who told her about a new program offering homeless city dwellers a small, clean, air-conditioned space to stay temporarily. She says she didn't know what to expect when she pulled up with her son, but once she stepped out of the car, there was an unmistakable sense of community.
They take care of you like their own family is safe. We have a roof on our head, we can lock the door, we have bathroom, shower.
Roya is one of hundreds of formerly homeless Angelenos who have flocked to the city's tiny village housing projects. The program launched this spring with just a single collection of 40 colorful homes in North Hollywood. Since then, the program has expanded to neighborhoods throughout the city.
All the costs that we pay to keep people barely alive on the street is much more than just housing them and ending that condition. This is un-American to have people on the streets. Our veterans, our kids, this is not who we are. And Los Angeles is showing what happens when we step up.
Each one of these homes is 64 square feet, and right now this is the largest tiny home community in the country. It's one of 6 here across Los Angeles, and they're planning to build more to try to combat the city's homeless crisis.
And it's not just the homes. From laundry machines to meals on site, residents have access to a range of services. It's essentially a one-stop shop. Once the basics are taken care of, case managers help plan what comes next, including substance abuse counseling, mental health resources, job training, and housing navigation. The goal, to move anyone who stays here into a permanent home within a few months.
We will not give up on you until we get you placed into permanent housing.
Ken Kraft is the man behind the mission. Along with his Hope of the Valley nonprofit, he's had a hand in helping countless people living on the streets find permanent housing through the years. The Tiny Village program, run in tandem with the city, is the organization's latest push to help unhoused people who want to relocate do so. But the charity isn't intended for everyone.
To access this site, you do have to live within a 3-mile radius. And we have access and engagement teams that are already going out in the community, building relationships, letting them know about this site. And there is a waiting list.
Ken says that 3-mile radius is supposed to keep the Tiny Villages concept at the neighborhood level. As more villages take shape on city lots throughout Los Angeles, the goal is to have people living around the block come to these transitional housing developments organically.
And once they come in here, it really is a stabilizing force, because when people are on the streets, they're not really living, they're surviving. Now all of a sudden their basic needs are met. They get 3 meals a day, they get hot showers, they get clean clothes, they have access to laundry and all the services. Now the brain can start to think forward, and that's when we see hope ignited.
Some neighbors are excited to see the program land in their backyards.
It's a great thing. It's a great thing for these people that get to have shelter. Hopefully, it has more. It'll bring more people watching each other's back and helping each other out. Bring the community together.
But not everyone's on board. A Change.org petition garnering nearly 800 signatures is calling for the soon-to-be-open tiny village next to a playground in Highland Park to be moved somewhere else.
We don't have any issues with the tiny homes being built. It's just we don't have any parks like here. And that's a park that we would use. I mean, there are people in our neighborhood that are selling their houses. It's something that we've contemplated on doing.
Some residents say they're worried the program will draw more homeless to the area, leading to spikes in crime and lower property values.
What would you rather have? An encampment or would you rather have a tiny home community? And I haven't had one person yet tell me I prefer an encampment, because on site we can bring the services people need to help end their homelessness.
For Roya, those services have already made all the difference as she takes a new lease on life.
They saved my life. They saved our life, and I fall in love with tiny homes.
A tiny solution for potentially some far-reaching consequences. Our thanks to Will Carr for that. Still ahead here on Prime, the fight in Parliament in Ghana. What are all these lawmakers? Why are they so angry that they literally started punching each other? Also, can you imagine having to pay a $730 million divorce settlement? Who has to fork over all this money coming up? But first, it is the shortest day of the year, but we have it good in many cases. Some places have just a matter of a few hours of daylight today. We go by the numbers, but first, our tweet of the day. The city of New York awarding legendary filmmaker Spike Lee with the key to the city.
An extraordinary story.
A computer salesman was supposed to report to prison to begin a 17-year sentence.
They let him turn himself into jail with no escort.
No one thought he would run.
How do you evade capture for 25 years? How do you do that?
Now, join the search, following the U.S. Marshals as they uncover new leads in a global manhunt. Can you help catch this fugitive?
Have you seen this man?
Have you seen this man?
Have you seen this man? Listen and join the all-new Hunt wherever you get your podcasts.
It was a scary time.
In the 70s, you had multiple bodies showing up in Los Angeles.
There were so many murders happening. You had to have a name for it. Serial killer.
There was a human head in there. This was premeditated evil.
We have this clock. This person is going to do this again.
It's me against the killer. Who's going to win?
We'll see who laughs last.
What came next was unlike anything they had ever seen.
World News Now.
And America This Morning.
The best new videos.
Breaking news overnight.
Your money and concerns about inflation.
The pandemic is not over.
The stories people are talking about.
You don't want to shave your legs? Don't. I was going to say. And what to expect in the day ahead.
From the top of the world, baby! ABC World News Now and America This Morning.
Weekday morning starting at 2 a.m. Eastern.
Up all night to keep you up to date.
Right now, with so much at stake, Sunday mornings, this is the place. Taking on all the tough questions, straightforward reporting, no spin, no hype, no bull. See why Sunday mornings, more and more Americans are now turning first to ABC's This Week with George Stephanopoulos.
Welcome to This Week.
Let's do this! When you wake up in the morning, when you wake up in the morning, darling, I'll be by your side. I'll be there by your side. I'll be everything you wanted. I'll be there by your side. If you need a light to shine it, hold out your hand, let the stars shoot again, let the light shine in through the dark.
Good morning, America.
This is what being live is all about. This is ABC News Live.
All right, we're going to move back. Let's move back. We're surrounded by people squeezing into this bomb shelter.
We're on an urgent delivery run.
Not afraid to go there.
So my question, Mr. President, what are you so afraid of?
Breaking news, live events.
This is the moment.
Streaming straight to you, anytime, anywhere.
You just met one friend right here.
You're watching ABC News Live. Thanks for streaming with us.
Welcome back, everyone, and welcome back, winter. It is, scientifically speaking, the darkest day of the year here in the Northern Hemisphere. So what's the cold, hard truth about December 21st? Here's the winter solstice by the numbers. 10:59 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is to the minute when the Earth's Northern Hemisphere was tilted farthest from the sun during its annual orbit, marking the astronomical start of winter. 9 hours and 15 minutes, that's the total daylight today here in New York City after 7:17 a.m. sunrise and a 4:32 p.m. sunset, officially the shortest day of the year. The sun will be even harder to spot in Nome, Alaska, where there will be just under 4 hours of daylight given its latitude and longitude. And lastly, 89. That is the number of days until we can say welcome to spring. But who's counting? The good news, though, from here on out, the days will only get longer. And a note for our viewers tonight in the Southern Hemisphere, enjoy the first day of summer. And we still have lots to get to here on Prime tonight. The holiday travel crush, millions hitting the road and skies. What you need to know about how to prevent travel nightmares. Also, the new show teaching us inclusivity and how to support our loved ones this holiday season. And the boat only powered by a kite that went all the way from Europe to the Caribbean. Why this man wanted to make this perilous journey. But first, a look at our top trending stories on abcnews.com.
Powerful stories of our time, anytime. Nightline.
It's an extraordinary story. A computer salesman was supposed to report to prison to begin a 17-year sentence.
They let him turn himself into jail with no escort.
No one thought he would run.
How do you evade capture for 25 years? How do you do that?
Now, join the search, following the U.S. Marshals as they uncover new leads in a global manhunt. Can you help catch this fugitive?
Have you seen this man?
Have you seen this man?
Have you seen this man? Listen and join the all-new hunt wherever you get your podcasts.
Now streaming on ABC News Live 2020. True crime, cinematic, real-life drama, stunning, the unthinkable. Follow the clues. The Hunt. True crime 2020. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
National parks are incredibly safe places, but crime will happen.
Hey, Mom. My wife has fallen. She's in really critical condition.
At that time, I thought it was just a tragic accident. There's still a lot of questions we need to ask.
There were small things that didn't totally add up.
This is 2 lives for Harold that have died now. I was shocked. Something's not right.
Admit it. These days, what you need to know
seems to change just about every day.
What is it that you really want to know, need to know?
To help you not just get through your day,
but to make the most of it. Feel smarter.
Feel better.
Feel happier.
Well, how about a third hour of Good Morning America?
GMA 3, what you need to know. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
It's all about you.
I know what happened, and I'm not guilty.
Why the fascination with criminal trials? Figure out what's really out there.
She revealed she had murdered his family.
I know in my heart they did this.
It's the time of suspicion.
The ending's really tough.
You don't know whether truth is going to be difficult to find unless you try to find it.
This is what being live is all about. This is ABC News Live.
All right, we're gonna move back. Let's move back.
We're surrounded by people squeezing into this bomb shelter.
We're on an urgent delivery run.
Not afraid to go there.
So my question, Mr. President, what are you so afraid of?
Breaking news, live events.
This is the moment.
Streaming straight to you, anytime, anywhere.
You just met one friend right here.
You're watching ABC News Live. Thanks for streaming with us.
With Omicron now in all but one state, the president unveiling a plan to distribute 500 million free at-home rapid tests in January to any American who requests one.
We'll be getting these tests to Americans for free. And we'll have websites where you can get them delivered to your home.
But the White House offering few specifics on how that would work. And tests in January won't help those people who lined up today around the country hoping to get tested before Christmas. In New York, the mayor says the demand for testing is the highest it's ever been. COVID cases in New York City exploding, up 640% in just the past month, the highest rate in the nation.
The NHL pulling out of the Winter Olympics in Beijing. ESPN and AP reporting the league will not let its players take part in the Winter Games because of the pandemic. The NHL pausing its season beginning tomorrow until after Christmas. Games will now be rescheduled for what would have been the Olympic break.
In New York City, jury deliberations underway in the trial of Ghislaine Maxwell. She's charged with conspiring with the late Jeffrey Epstein to sexually abuse teenage girls.
No cameras were allowed in court, but 4 accusers took the stand, including Annie Farmer, the only alleged child victim in this case to publicly identify herself.
Maxwell was a really important part of the grooming process.
Jury deliberations in the trial against former Brooklyn Center police officer Kim Potter spilling over into day 2. The jury in the deliberation room for 5 hours Monday and continuing to weigh Kim Potter's manslaughter charges in the fatal shooting of Dante Wright during this traffic stop in April.
I shot him! Oh my God!
The core of the case hinges on the jury's interpretation of Potter's fatal error. The defense attorneys say Potter confused her firearm for her taser and that she was justified in using deadly force because she feared Wright would hurt another officer as he drove away.
Dante Wright caused his own death, unfortunately.
The prosecution telling the jury during closing arguments this case is straightforward and that it's about the, quote, reckless handling of a firearm and culpable negligence by Potter.
Procter & Gamble pulling dozens of aerosol hairspray products because they may contain levels of the cancer-causing chemical benzene. 32 different dry shampoos and conditioners, including some Old Spice, herbal essences, and Pantene products. And the FDA is investigating a deadly listeria outbreak in some salads. Fresh Express recalling salad products due to possible contamination. Sold in 19 states from North Dakota to the East Coast. At least 1 person has died, 10 people infected. The packages with product codes Z324 through Z350 right under the use-by date.
New video has been released of a wild brawl in Miami International Airport that caused a charter flight to be delayed. Investigators say an employee was driving a transport cart through a terminal when a passenger refused to let him pass. They say the unruly passenger got onto the cart, broke the key, then refused to get out. Officers responded. Police say the passenger got into a fight with them. More officers arrived and arrested 2 men. Those men are facing multiple charges.
Despite coronavirus, there's good news in New Orleans. The mayor announcing Mardi Gras 2022 will go on as planned.
The big news and the best news is that Mardi Gras is returning to the city of New Orleans and to the world in 2022.
She says every parade will be asked to make slight accommodations.
The coronavirus is surging just as millions travel for the holidays, and this will be a record travel week in the pandemic, with more than 100 million Americans expected to travel by car and some 30 million by plane. But even if you're vaccinated and boosted, there's more that you can do to try to make sure that your trip is easier and safer. Here's ABC's Gio Benitez.
Tonight, despite the fast-spreading Omicron variant, millions are on the move. More than 100 million by car, and the airports are packed.
Got double vaxxed, boosted, regular testing.
Some 30 million expected to fly between now and January 3rd, breaking pandemic records. More than 2 million people every day. First and foremost, experts say if you're vaccinated and boosted, you should feel safe to fly.
The second most important thing is wearing a good mask, wearing a high-quality mask.
The most effective, the N95 mask. But experts say the KN95 and KF94 are almost as strong. Surgical masks were also found to be effective in Department of Defense testing on airplanes. And with cloth masks, multiple layers are recommended. Masks are required on all forms of public transportation, including buses and trains.
I try to opt for double masking, and then by that, I'll use a paper or a surgical mask and then cover that with a cloth mask.
And remember, airlines will not accept masks with breathing valves. And new COVID protocols are making for long wait times at the airport. International destinations require airlines to check vaccine and testing documents. And if you're hoping to get tested at the airport before your flight, so are many others. Lines are getting longer and longer. And Lindsay, Thursday is expected to be the busiest day at U.S. airports. Some of them, like Seattle and Newark, are allowing you to go online and reserve a spot in the TSA line. Lindsay?
Gio, thank you. We're tracking several headlines around the world. Take a look at this shocking video where a fight broke out between lawmakers in Ghana's parliament during a debate over a proposed tax on electronic transactions right after the deputy speaker attempted to cast a vote on the bill. The majority leader and minister of parliamentary affairs reportedly said he felt sad, ashamed, and embarrassed to be called the leader of the House. The ruler of Dubai, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, has been ordered by by a London high court to pay his ex-wife, Princess Haya, and their children more than $730 million in their divorce settlement, the most expensive divorce settlement in British history. Princess Haya fled to the UK in 2019 after she claimed that she feared for her safety after she allegedly had an affair with her bodyguard, according to the courts. Francisco Lufinha, a man from Portugal, crossed the Atlantic on a kite-powered boat. He started his journey off the coast of Portugal on November 3rd and finished the 4,000-mile trek all the way to Martinique yesterday by only using the power of kites to pull his tiny boat. Overcoming extreme conditions on the open ocean, his expedition was recorded by Guinness as the fastest solo crossing on the Atlantic Ocean in a kite boat. The sailor said he couldn't be more pleased as he has fulfilled yet another dream. The holidays are, of course, often synonymous with family time, which can also be extremely stressful for some. It's all covered in Gloria Calderon-Collette's new Latinx rom-com series, With Love. Gloria, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
So With Love focuses on the Diaz family during the holidays, a family that is easy to love, extremely caring, and adorably weird. Each family member tries their best to learn how to support each other and how they love, no matter who they love. We watch the main character, Lily Diaz, trying to find the I can't live without you love that she's seen in her family growing up. Why was that something that you wanted to focus on for each character in the series?
Well, you know, we're still in a time where the Latino experience is wildly underrepresented in the U.S. So we are almost 20% of the population and yet only see about 5% of ourselves on screen. And still those roles are wildly marginalized. So as the daughter of Cuban immigrants, this is what I look like. This is what I sound like. I'm thriving in the world. And I wanted this time, especially after we've all been through 2 years of this collective trauma, I wanted to put something out there that was warm, that reminded people of family, that was, you know, luxurious and people falling in love and funny, and kind of give that to everyone, a little warm hug through the television screen.
Yeah, I think that you accomplished that. I also think it's kind of neat that on the chair, the director's chair right behind you is your name, right? And so you're not only the showrunner of With Love, but you're also in front of the camera playing the role of Gladys, a single Latino woman who's 44 and ready for more. What made you want to have these dual roles in the series?
You know, this character is really fun because I found my husband when I was 16 years old, but had I not, I think I would have been Gladys. I really love spending time with myself, and I love to take myself on little dates. And I just love to put out there a woman who has found the love of her life, and it's herself. So unless she's going to find somebody else that's more interesting than that, she's quite fine to be by herself and alone. And it really was honoring so many single women I know in their 40s who didn't want to settle and who have really fabulous lives. So it was a celebration and an homage to them.
And so important for people to enjoy their own company, right? Maybe even before they get all booed up. And you were also the co-creator of the critically acclaimed show One Day at a Time that also focused on Latino-led issues. And this is your first series since then. What are the specific issues that you wanted to tackle with the Diaz family?
You know, really, it's that we exist. That we're thriving. You know, in the last decade, more Latinos have opened small businesses than any other minority. And so these are business owners. And I wanted to show Afro-Latinidad, which is also something that is rarely seen on television. We are many different shades, and all of these experiences are worthwhile. And hopefully there will be more as a result of this show existing. So it's a real celebration of our culture. And also, these are Americans. So this is a very American story, a very American family that happens to be Latino.
And this show, as you've been discussing, it really explores multiple storylines with a rather diverse cast. I want to bring attention to trans performer Isis King, who stars in your series. They recently stated in a Variety article, "I'm just happy to be able to play a happy character with no trauma." What made you include this kind of storyline?
You know, doing One Day at a Time, I was on various panels with other people from disenfranchised communities. And I was on a panel with Our Lady J, who's an incredible writer and activist and musician. And she was talking about how the trans community is often shown as bodies on a slab because they've been murdered, or as sex workers, and that there's such a multitude of other experiences. And that really spoke to me because that's how I feel about Latinidad. We're either criminals or drug dealers. And so I wanted to include a trans character on this show to honor all of the LGBTQ people who rarely see themselves thriving. And this is what it can look like when somebody is loved. Isis's character, Saul, is loved by this family, is accepted for who they are. Now, it was a journey. It was a journey getting to this point of understanding, but this is what it can look like. And as somebody who has more than one member of the LGBTQ community in my family, it was also something that I wanted to represent, that we can love each other, we can find ways towards each other, we can build bridges, especially in this time, towards each other with love and understanding.
And last but not least, you tweeted this a few days ago. Fun fact, in the final app of With Love TV, I had 2 huge zits. I could have paid to CG them out, but I didn't because people get zits and it's normal. Let's normalize skin issues. Why did you personally feel that it was so important to highlight and normalize all different types of love in this series, including self-love?
Well, because I think growing up, I only saw perfect people. You know, I saw perfect women and perfect skinny, and I am round, and I've got the whole, you know, I get zits, and I mean, I love some makeup, of course, but you know, my face is crooked, my smile is crooked, like. It's okay. It's okay. And I just want to normalize that we are all experiencing this earth together, and let's love each other because there's beauty in our imperfections. So it just felt human. And the vain part of me was like, oh man, I'm gonna see that zit. But then I was like, that's okay. People get zits.
What a great message. And I think that you really achieved all of this, even in the interview itself, that kind of hug through the screen. So thank you so much for joining us, Gloria. And you
sending you a virtual hug.
We all need that and appreciate that. And you can all watch With Love, now streaming on Amazon Prime Video. Un abrazo there. And coming up on Prime, up north, deep in the Arctic Circle, Santa hard at work making sure your gifts arrive on time. And our Maggie Rulli is there helping out.
More Americans choose ABC News, America's #1 news source. This is what being live is all about. This is ABC News Live.
All right, we're gonna move out. Let's move out.
We're surrounded by people squeezing into this bomb shelter.
We're on an urgent delivery run.
Not afraid to go there.
So my question, Mr. President, what are you so afraid of?
Breaking news, live events.
This is the moment.
Streaming straight to you, anytime, anywhere.
You just met one friend right here.
You're watching ABC News Live. Thanks for streaming with us.
Admit it. These days, what you need to know
seems to change just about every day.
What is it that you really want to know, need to know?
To help you not just get through your day,
but to make the most of it. Feel smarter.
Feel better.
Feel happier.
Well, how about a third hour of Good Morning America?
GMA 3, what you need to know. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
It's all about you.
The ladies you love, the hottest topics happening now. There's only one place to find it all.
You guys are having the hard conversations. I love The View.
The most watched #1 daytime talk show is The View. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
It was a scary time.
In the 70s, you had multiple bodies showing up in Los Angeles.
There were so many murders happening. You had to have a name for it. Serial killer.
There was a human head in there. This was premeditated evil.
You have this clock. This person is going to do this again.
It's me against the killer. Who's going to win?
We'll see who laughs last.
What came next was unlike anything they had ever seen.
ABC News honored winner of 9 Edward R. Murrow Awards, more than any other network, including winning for the 3rd straight year the award for overall excellence in television. ABC News is America's #1 news source. With so much at stake, more Americans turn here than any other newscast. ABC News World News Tonight with David Muir, America's #1 newscast and the #1 program on television.
Finally, tonight, of course, we are just days away from Christmas, and Santa's team, they are deep into their busy season. This is clutch time right here. Our Maggie really, she had the lucky assignment to take us inside Santa's village in the Arctic Circle, where she even had a chance to sit down with the big man himself.
The Arctic Circle's all decked out in a flurry of festive activity. And in Santa's village, we're fueling up on Yuletide cheer.
Merry Christmas! Woo! Every year, Santa and his team build this entire winter playground made entirely of snow.
And plenty of Arctic adventure. Snowmobiling through snow-capped forests.
Santa should try this for his sleigh.
We race on an ice-packed lake. And we're even getting a lift from Santa's littlest and most adorable helpers.
Oh, they're too excited.
After getting a few tips, it's time for me to take the reins.
All right, how's this look?
Looks perfect. Looks perfect. 1, 2, 3.
Menan!
In Santa's official post office, it's season's greetings every day of the year.
Hi, this is amazing. Look at all of these letters. I love this one. Just to Santa, North Pole.
Heidi the Elf helps sort through the more than 500,000 letters sent to Santa from over 200 countries.
Let's see, you've got letters from Chile, from Ethiopia, from Egypt, from the Cook Islands.
All over the world, basically.
Some just addressed to Santa, North Pole, with no stamps. But somehow Christmas magic gets them here. And there are plenty of wishes from America.
Hi, Santa. My name is Larry. I am 4.
Like Larry from New Jersey, who wishes for pajamas and Mario sneakers.
This one is from Eva, Florida. This one is from Frank, Pennsylvania.
And 7-year-old Oscar from California, who wants everyone to stay safe this Christmas.
I think it's amazing to see how thoughtful the kids are. So many people write in at age 7, 8, 9, not asking for themselves, but asking for others.
Yes.
But before I meet the big man, I need to hear what he's really like. And I know just who to talk to. To get around the globe in just one night, Santa relies on some special reindeer.
The gang's all here. You got Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen and Comet and Cupid and Donder and Blitzen. Do they fly?
Only on Christmas Eve when Santa puts the magic powder on the back of the reindeer. And that's also when Rudolph's nose come red.
And I can't meet Santa empty-handed. Thankfully, Irene has lived here in Lapland her whole life and knows what Santa likes.
Oh, this dough is beautiful.
Inside her home, the wood-burning oven heats the house and bakes the bread nonstop from September to May. Nearly everything she makes, she forages and finds locally.
Oh, that looks so good.
Today, we're making jolla tortu, a traditional Finnish pastry filled with, you guessed it, homemade and hand-picked fruit jam.
Oh, it's perfect. Do you think Santa will like it?
Let's see when it's ready.
Finally, at peak jolly, it's time.
Oh, hello, Maggie.
I made you a present.
Yes?
And it is jolla tortu.
Oh, really?
Yes, I did, freshly baked. And we made it extra large just for you because we thought you might need some sustenance this time of year.
You know me already, so...
Yeah.
And he needs to fuel up for his busiest time of the year because Santa's ready to say Merry Christmas to kids no matter where they live.
Joyeux Noël. C'est in French?
Joyeux Noël.
Oh, that's very good.
Good.
Frohe Weihnachten.
Frohe Weihnachten.
Oh, quite good, but that's German. Feliz Natal.
Feliz
That's
Natal.
Portuguese.
Ah.
What can... Hyvää joulua. In Finnish.
Hyvä joulua.
Hyvää joulua.
Joulua. Hyvä joulua.
Very good.
We're here to ask him all the hard-hitting questions you're just dying to know.
What are your favorite cookies?
All of them.
Okay, what about your favorite Christmas song?
All of them.
You know, what do you say to kids out there or to adults that can't imagine how you're real?
I have a small test.
Yeah.
I can do this. Ow.
He's real.
I think that's quite real. That hurt. That hurt. Yeah.
A full believer myself, I had to know what Christmas means to Santa this year.
Christmas is in your heart and is in your mind. It's always there. Yeah, never gone away.
And Lindsay, this is Santa's busiest time of the year. His village is just packed with kids and families having so much fun. But, as he reminded us, Christmas is really about just coming together, spending time as a family, and sharing the love. Lindsay?
Peak Jolly Maggie, the perfect assignment for you. Thank you so much. And before we go tonight, the image of the day. 6-month-old twin giant panda cubs, Zing Zing and Chen Chen. They made their debut at the Chongqing Zoo in China today. Looks like they are settling in comfortably. And that is our show for this hour. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thank you so much for streaming with us. Have a great night.
This is an ABC News Live special, COVID-19.